As the immigration and housing crisis continues apace in Canada, it's become very clear that the Justin Trudeau Liberals are deathly allergic to the concept of supply and demand. They don't care that we only actually started building 230,000 new homes in the year 2023 at the same time that we brought in 1.1 million new people as students, temporary foreign workers, and permanent residents. That's just a pesky detail that you can't stick 1.1 million people in 230,000 new builds, on top of the fact that there are Canadian citizens who also want to buy those homes so they don't have to live with their parents anymore. That's just details. They need the GDP to go up to pretend that the economy is healthy, and so they are importing people on the false pretense that we are a land of opportunity when in fact there are very few real opportunities. The economy in Canada is being driven by immigration and public spending. The economy in Canada, the GDP, is now 44% public spending. That's insane. And even a lot of that private spending is government subsidized. So, in a certain sense, Canada's probably around 50% government based spending, which in my mind kind of makes this a bit of a socialist country if more than half of things being done in the economy is being done from the side of the government. But I want to talk right now just about the weirdest take I saw on X the other day. Well, first, maybe I'll talk about Immigration Minister Mark Miller and this crazy comment he made. He said, one way to decrease temporary residence is to make them permanent. Like, that's not his direct quote, but that's being what his paraphrased quote was, saying that people shouldn't be complaining about the excessive amount of students and temporary foreign workers in Canada, because if you don't like them being temporary, why don't we make them permanent? It demonstrates just the smarmy attitude a lot of liberals have towards their critics pointing out their policy failures. Well, if you don't like so many temporary foreign workers, why don't you just make them permanent residents? Because we don't have the housing and jobs for them. I don't know if you understand this, Mark, and I know your predecessor, Sean Fraser, definitely didn't understand this because his own people warned him not to do this and he still did it anyways. But you actually need supply of something in order to meet the demand. I know liberals come from the school of demand side economics, where the best way of growing the economy is just farting out a bunch of money and having people spend it. And that stimulates the economy, even though we did not actually increase productivity to match the amount of extra money in the economy. At the end of the day, all economics is about productivity. Are you productive or are you not? You don't even have to use fiat currency. We could use rocks as our currency. But if there is productivity happening, well, then we are going to do well. If we are actually extracting things from the ground, we're farming things, we're manufacturing things, we will do well. An economy cannot be based on pure service spending from the government. At some point, somebody actually needs to do something productive that people are willing to pay for, not something that you have to force people to by like through taxes in order to pay for. But now I want to get over to this left-wing liberal journalist who, for some reason, still has employment. And as I talk about this really strange take I have, just know that we are really about to go down the rabbit hole on somebody who I regard as Canada's most racist journalist, and I will substantiate that claim before the end of this video. But this is Erica Ifill, who I believe works both for the Hill Times and as well as iPolitics. Sorry, I was thinking there, so I messed up that word. So she works for the Hill Times and iPolitics, and she was reacting to this Globe and Mail article. And when the Globe and Mail is saying immigration's a problem, you know it's a problem. That tends to be a little bit more of a liberal-leaning publication. The Globe and Mail headline reads, "Immigration to Canada surges in April, worsening outlook for housing affordability." And Miss Erica Ifill says, "This is a terrible and biased headline. This assumes that immigration is directly linked to housing affordability, and that has not yet been proven." Like, Erica, I know you're a communist, but you know that people, flesh and blood, humans, warm bodies, they're alive. They actually need to live somewhere. You can't just construct some dog houses and force them to live there. I know that's what Erica would want to do to white people because she's one of the biggest racists in Canada, but people actually need places that they can, sleep at night, cook their food and all that. Of course, immigration is tied to housing prices. People don't just arbitrarily price their homes on the market. They price them based on the level of demand. If 10, 15 people want to buy your house, you're going to price it differently than if just one person made an offer in the past 6 months. If that's the case, you're more likely to take less money. But if 25 people are all competing for your house, there's nothing stopping you from raising the price, and you probably should because everyone else is doing it. And if you want to buy another house, that house is going to be being competed for by multiple people. And so she got mad at people for coming after her and trying to explain the concept of supply and demand. I saw Andrew Lawton being very patient with her and her freaking out. At one point, she posted this: honestly, these supply and demand arguments are trash. How? I know you might have not gotten your degree legally speaking. I'm not sure if she stole her bachelor's. I'm not sure what it's even in. I don't really care. But the fact that she thinks that the concept of supply and demand is just, ugh, who cares? It's so reflective of the left-wing mentality in Canada. Oh goodness, supply and demand? Stop talking about that. That's scary. It's spooky. Supply and demand. Oh goodness, don't tell me about that, because we might actually have to make good public policy decisions if we believe that supply and demand is not a myth. But now this just gave me a great excuse to dive into Erica Ifill's history. The lady is actively the most racist person I've ever seen who works at a mainstream media outlet. Like, obviously, we can all go find some skinhead online somewhere who's out of their mind, but she, for somebody who is in fairly prestigious circles, is insane. Like, just look at some of these tweets. So she was commenting on this video of, I think, kindergarten girls basically being cheered on by their parents as they were at a school play doing a little performance. It was very cute. And Erica Ifill, in response to this, said, "This is the joy white people gaslight out of their children from young. I've been noticing the lack of joy in white Anglo culture and how white supremacy robs them of it and robs women of agency of joy. I am finally understanding that joy is a revolutionary state of being." Oh, goodness. Because parents were cheering on their kids and they were withholding joy and they were only giving it to the kids when they were doing what they wanted. And ergo, this is somehow a hit on white people. She also made like a comment about white people being sexually attracted to their own dogs, because Erica Ifill is an insane person. She went after somebody who I consider an acquaintance, but kind of a friend, Karima Saeed, who's very good at filming protests all around the Ontario, or I guess like more so Ottawa, Toronto, Peel area. And she, in disagreeing with Karima, because for some reason she hates Karima, said she's fair-skinned and that she didn't actually count as a real minority. Because remember, as I'm going to keep saying, Erica is a massive racist. She is a big bully, and I'm going to play a video in a second to really highlight it, because somebody put together this great compilation of her statements on Twitter. It was Adam Bice, who I will put a link to his video in the description below, because I think he did a really good job editing this. But here's another thing that Erica said. She says, where did they dig Macklemore up from? He's already done more than, sorry, what is that? Sorry, sometimes my screen cuts things off. Anyways, that's something Clooney on this issue. He's a white rapper appropriating American culture, this guy named Richard says. And she says, so is Drake. Because Drake is only half black, she doesn't actually consider him black. Ridiculous. Okay, well, here's Erica Ifill talking at this one conference, and then contrasted next to all of her statements on X.
When the Queen died on CBC. But I didn't see many voices that wrote like I did, who said, well, I'm glad the Queen is dead. And let me tell you why.
Imagine paying for cable, and on every channel is an old dead white woman. Imagine a world where whiteness is not centered, but a foreign disease. It's not a good look for a Western upper-class white woman to answer a black African. It's amazing how fragile white peoples are. I feel culturally stalked by white people. Mastodon is too white.
I was recently digitally lynched, so yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I went through a digital lynching recently. Black women who are supposed to be subservient to whiteness.
White people. The motherfucking caucasity is real.
White Canadians didn't even bathe every day in the 1980s. White people here are aggressively white. Are there no dark-skinned people in Vancouver? There are quite a few Mexicans. However, they aren't dark-skinned either. Do they not let people darker than pancake batter in Vancouver?
I make it a point when I'm doing a story.
I'm going to cut her off there, but this video goes on for 2 minutes, and I want you guys to go on X and go share that. The link is going to be right after the description of this video. Make sure you share that all over the place. Erica Ifill, the fact that the Hill Times employs her and other media outlets let her write for them is insane in a world where we cancel people over literally nothing. And this lady over here is acting like Black Hitler, I guess. I don't get it, but for some reason she is well respected and gets to sit on panels with Rachel Gilmore where they both whine and cry about how people are mean and bullying them, even though they are easily some of the biggest bullies in the entire media space right now. And I guess she also thinks that supply and demand is terrible. And because Erica Ifill thinks supply and demand is bad, it probably means it's a very good concept that you should believe in too. Anyways, that's it for me today. You guys want to be able to... why am I so all over the place today? I'm totally sorry. Anyways, I have my legal fund linked in the description of this video below. Give, send, go link. If you want to contribute anything to the legal fund, it really helps me out. And then also you can follow the TNT Telegram channel, also linked in the description if you want all of our posts in your feed in chronological order, rather than just having to rely on social media algorithms to show up you when we actually make something new. I am so cracky in this video, and I'm going to apologize here. I've restarted this video like 15 times, and eventually at the 5-minute mark, if I start messing up, I just kind of muscle through it. And this is very much an example of that, where I say something wrong, or I put something on screen like this, and like my logo up in the right corner blocks me from seeing what it says because I didn't read it beforehand fully. Anyways. Well, that's it for me today, guys, and it definitely is the last video today because I'm not going to repeat this.